So, if you are a lover of chocolate fragrances, boy, do we have a treat for you today. This is a brand new Dua. I think it's been around for a couple weeks now, but it's called A Chocolate Affair. They've had a lot of affairs over the past few months, but this is incredible. If you're a lover of chocolate fragrances, you absolutely must sample this one. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this brand new original creation, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin my fragrance review of A Chocolate Affair by Dua Fragrances, really an explosion of chocolate, one of the most gourmand fragrances that I've ever smelled, I do want to start things off by mentioning that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to hit that bell icon and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video or if you take something of value from today's episode. Now, I've tried a lot of chocolate fragrances in my life. Of course, I've tried Symphonium by Xerjoff. I've tried so many. The list is way too long to count. Cocorico by Jean Paul Gaultier. But this is a chocolate fragrance like no other. And as if the chocolate weren't enough, I'm looking through the note breakdown and I'm seeing some other incredibly delicious ingredients. I know there's bitter orange and bergamot, so you have a lot of other citrusy gourmand ingredients, if you will, because literally speaking, yeah, citrus fruits are edible. But then you also have cognac, you have steamed hot chocolate, you have a chocolate infused coffee, chocolate liqueur, and just reading the note breakdown was enough to make me salivate and make my mouth water. So I'm excited to give you a breakdown of this utterly delicious fragrance. Let's start things off with the presentation. Wow. As soon as you spray this fragrance on, you are going to get this overdose of chocolate. I've never smelled a more chocolatey rich fragrance than this one. Now, this fragrance opens up with this burst of chocolate and it's so decadently gourmand. And it's not just the chocolate, it's also the tonka bean that's in here. And it does give off a bit of a powdery quality. So it kind of reminds me of like cocoa powder in the opening, which is kind of nostalgic, and I personally love that ingredient. I was having second thoughts, like, would I want to wear this? Then it dries down to something really classy while still retaining that gourmand touch. So I think it's that cognac note that's in the opening that, or accord I should call it, that gives off that spicy, mysterious, boozy edge that combines with that decadent gourmand quality of the chocolate, and it's so flavorful. So it also has this chocolate liqueur vibe about it, and of course the citrus in the opening is noticeable, and I think it serves as a really nice complement to the chocolate, but it is quite short-lived. Now, if you were to ask me, I think the bitter orange is probably a little bit sweeter or a little bit more concentrated than the bergamot, and I think a stronger complement to the sweetness, which is what I meant to initially say. Now, the bergamot that's in there, it kind of adds this dimension and personality to the citrus, but really it is the bitter orange that you're going to get the most of in the opening. So it opens up citrusy, but like 20% citrusy. The rest of the 80% is chocolate through and through, but you can tell it has its intricacies, which is really enjoyable, right? It's not just this chocolate overdose. Yeah, the chocolate really does dominate the composition, but you get the booziness, you get those coffee accents, you get a little bit of a spicy quality from the cognac accord, and then you get that powderiness from the tonka bean. So if you're not a fan of powdery fragrances, keep in mind that I did warn you, right? So it does open up a little bit powdery, but in a very smooth, elegant, and classy way. It's not overly powdery in the way that many old school floral aldehydic fragrances are powdery. No. That's not what I mean, right? This one is just powdery in the sense that kind of evokes that sense of like cocoa powder. So it has those sweet qualities and it dries down to something rather warm. I can't necessarily say that I get vanilla from this, but I do get that overdose of tonka bean. And one thing that I've noticed in my experience is that you have coumarin, which is found in most designer fragrances, whether we're talking about like Versace Eros or we're talking about Invictus by Paco Rabanne. And then you have the really natural tonka bean fragrances like Fève Délicieuse by Christian Dior. And that is that Venezuelan tonka bean that smells so natural, so complex, and I think that that's kind of what's happening in here. Now, I don't know if it's specified in the description or in the note breakdown on the brand's website as if it's, you know, the actual real thing or if it's like a synthetic tonka bean, but it smells natural to me, which I think was a really good move heading in the direction of creating this complete gourmand fragrance that is really addictive. This is awesome. If you're a fan of gourmand fragrances, if you're looking for a holy grail chocolate fragrance, this is it. And I like how lately they've been focusing on creating these holy grail fragrances, right? Like they have a vanilla affair, which is like the best in class vanilla perfume that you can get. They also have a rose affair. They do have a fragrance called a powdery affair as well, which also kind of goes in a bit of a floral territory. So I like how they create what in their mind is the holy grail version of these particular ingredients while also not compromising the complexity of the fragrances, right? They're not overly simple. It's not like, okay, we're just gonna put vanilla in this and we're gonna send it to market. No, that's not what it's about. They're actually focusing on diversifying the note breakdown by creating these accords and adding some other ingredients in there to really add to the complexity of the fragrance and really allow it to smell more of a perfume and something that you'd wear as opposed to a novelty scent and something that would function best as a candle or something like that, right? So a job well done. Everything from the bottle to the pressurized atomizer, like that's beautiful, right? So the gold hardware and even the brown box, right? It just looks delicious. So I think they really outdid themselves with this one. I'm interested to see if they're going to continue using this presentation for future releases. You have the logo embossed on the top as well. So anyway, I love this one. My daughter loves this one because of how sweet it is. And it's funny, the other day I had her try it and she goes, "Daddy, all your fragrances have chocolate in them." And I think that's her way of complimenting my fragrances. I wish my wife were a little bit more like her because my wife hates 90% of what I wear. But in any case, I digress. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. Now, first up, in terms of the uniqueness and the overall smell, you know, this one is a chocolate overdose and it's like the strongest, longest lasting, most authentic chocolate fragrance that you'll try while also having some complexity. And one of my initial concerns was, is this going to be a novelty scent? The bottom line is it's not. It has the cognac, it has the coffee, it has the orange, the bergamot. It has other ingredients that kind of shape the personality of this fragrance to allow it to stay away from novelty territory, which is great. Longevity, 12 plus hours. This is extrait de parfum. Projection is amazing for like the first 2 hours of application. That powdery quality really bursts off the skin. So you can expect this one to radiate quite well for those first 2 hours. And it didn't even start to sit closer to the skin until about that 8-hour mark. Versatility on this one, I think this one is going to work best in the colder weather. I think this one is going to be more of like a casual and date night kind of a fragrance. I don't know if this is going to work necessarily that well in a formal scenario. You probably want to wear something a bit classier. Although this is classy and it has the potential to become classy, you just can't overdo it, right? So you can't do 10 sprays and you're going to smell like a walking chocolate bar. So you just have to be kind of cautious with the application. But I think date night, night out, clubbing, and even casual are the best times to wear it. Completely unisex. And personally, I think because of the sweetness, this is probably going to appeal to somebody who's a little bit younger as opposed to a more sophisticated, mature gentleman. But again, if you have an affinity for chocolate and the smell of chocolate, you're going to fall head over heels in love with this one. Presentation, gorgeous. The embossed logo, the gold hardware, the pressurized atomizer, the brown synesthetic quality of the presentation. They really thought about everything when they put this one together. My final verdict on this fragrance is it's the most authentic and strongest chocolate fragrance that I've ever tried. If you are a fan of chocolate and you've tried fragrances like Symphonium by Xerjoff, Cocorico by Jean-Paul Gaultier, even you've tried Imperial by Navitus Parfum, and you're looking for something that is like a really, really strong chocolate fragrance that has complexity, boozy quality, spiciness, you got to check this one out. I think it's awesome. And if you're a fan of chocolate, there's no way that you won't fall in love with this one. There you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed my review of A Chocolate Affair by Dua Fragrances, the strongest chocolate fragrance on the market. If you own or have tried this fragrance or any fragrance from this brand, Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video or if you took something of value from today's episode, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. Hit the bell icon so you won't miss any of my future uploads. Give this video a thumbs up. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.